Admiral Jake Morrison stood at the massive windows of Earth Defense Command, watching the blue marble of his home planet slowly turn below. 50 years had passed since humanity first made contact with the Galactic Federation. 50 years of being treated like children who had just learned to walk. The communication from the Federation Council still glowed on his desk display. The words were polite, but the message was clear as crystal. Earth had 7 days to surrender all military vessels and accept what they called protective custody status. The three major powers of the galaxy had finally decided that humanity was growing too fast, learning too quickly, and becoming too dangerous to ignore. "Admiral, the morning briefing is ready," said his aide, Lieutenant Sam Carter. The young officer looked nervous, and Jake didn't blame him. Everyone in the command center could feel the tension hanging in the air like smoke after a fire. Jake nodded and walked to the main conference room. The faces around the table were grim but determined. These were Earth's top military and scientific leaders, people who had spent decades preparing for this exact moment. "Let's hear it," Jake said, taking his seat at the head of the table. "Ambassador," Paul Grant spoke first. His usually calm demeanor showed cracks of frustration that had been building for years. "The Federation Council made their decision yesterday. The Zeltharian Empire, the Corvan hegemony, and the Ethereal Collective have formed what they're calling a stability alliance. They claim humanity's rapid expansion and technological development threatens galactic peace." General Kate Sullivan leaned forward, her steel gray eyes flashing with anger. "What they really mean is we're making them nervous. In 50 years, we've gone from primitive space travelers to having colonies in 12 systems. Our ships are faster, our weapons more efficient, and our people more adaptable than anything they've seen." Dr. Lisa Harper, head of Earth's Advanced Weapons Division, spoke quietly, but her words carried weight. "I've been monitoring their communications through our deep space networks. They're not just planning sanctions. Intelligence suggests they're preparing for a military solution if we don't comply." Jake looked around the table at these people he had worked with for decades. Each of them knew what was coming, what they had been preparing for in secret. "How long do we have?" "Their fleets are already moving," General Sullivan replied, pulling up a holographic display of the galaxy. Red dots marked enemy fleet positions, slowly converging toward the Sol system. "The Zeltharian Grand Armada departed 3 days ago. 50,000 ships, including their pride and joy, the Emperor's personal dreadnought. The Corvan Death Fleet is moving from the opposite direction. Another 30,000 vessels, all armed with their plasma torpedo systems. And the Ethereals?" Jake asked, though he already knew the answer would be the most troubling. Ambassador Grant's face darkened. "They're coordinating the entire operation through their psychic network. Every ship commander in the Alliance fleets is linked through their mental web. Perfect coordination, instant communication, shared tactical awareness. It's like fighting a single organism with 100,000 tentacles." Dr. Harper cleared her throat. "Admiral, given the current situation, I believe it's time to discuss Project Nemesis." The room fell silent. Project Nemesis was the most classified program in human history. Even among this group, only a few knew the full scope of what had been developed in the hidden shipyards beyond Pluto's orbit. Jake stood up slowly. "Dr. Harper, please give us a full briefing on the Harbinger's current status." Lisa activated her personal security tablet, confirming her identity through multiple scans. The main display changed, showing technical readouts that would have seemed like magic to even the most advanced alien scientists. "The UES Harbinger completed its final systems test yesterday," she began. "All quantum manipulation arrays are functioning at 112% of projected efficiency. The reality distortion field generators are stable. The matter reorganization cannons are calibrated and ready." Lieutenant Carter looked confused. "Doctor, I don't understand. What exactly is the Harbinger capable of?" Dr. Harper glanced at Admiral Morrison, who nodded his approval. "The Harbinger can unmake matter at the atomic level and rebuild it into whatever configuration we choose. It can phase in and out of normal spacetime, making it effectively invulnerable to conventional weapons. Its primary weapon system can disassemble an entire fleet and convert the raw materials into harmless cosmic dust." The room was dead quiet for several long moments. General Sullivan was the first to speak. How many ships like this do we have? Currently operational? Just the Harbinger, Dr. Harper replied. But there are 11 more in various stages of construction. The aliens have no idea what they're about to face. Ambassador Grant shook his head in amazement. For 50 years, we've let them think we were using conventional technology. Chemical rockets, nuclear reactors, simple projectile weapons, all while we were secretly developing technology that makes their most advanced systems look like stone axes. Jake activated the secure communication system. Captain Blake, please report to Conference Room Alpha. Authorization Morrison 77 Alpha. Within minutes, Captain Ryan Blake entered the room. He was younger than most of the senior staff, but his eyes held the steady confidence of someone who had been chosen for the most important mission in human history. Captain, are you and your crew ready? Jake asked simply. Yes, sir. The Harbinger is fully crewed and supplied. Chief Engineer, Marie Collins reports all systems are running perfectly. Commander Alex Torres has completed tactical analyses of all known alien ship designs and fleet formations. We're ready to depart on your orders. Dr. Harper pulled up another display showing the hidden shipyard where the Harbinger waited. The vessel was enormous, dwarfing even the largest alien dreadnoughts. But its design was sleek and somehow organic-looking, as if it had grown rather than been built. The aliens are expecting us to surrender or fight a conventional defensive war, General Sullivan observed. They have no idea that we've been preparing for this confrontation since the day we joined their federation. Admiral Morrison looked around the table one final time. Ladies and gentlemen, 50 years ago, humanity was alone in the universe. When we discovered the Galactic Federation, we had a choice. We could remain weak and dependent, or we could prepare for the day when our independence would be tested. That day has arrived. He stood up, his decision made. Captain Blake, take the Harbinger to the outer system and wait for the enemy fleets to arrive. Dr. Harper, begin final preparations. On the backup vessels. General Sullivan, continue maintaining the illusion that our conventional forces are our only defense. Ambassador Grant, send one final message to the Federation Council. Tell them that Earth respectfully declines their generous offer of protection. The meeting broke up. Jake looked out at the stars one more time. Somewhere out there, the greatest military force in galactic history was coming to put humanity in its place. They had no idea they were flying into the jaws of a sleeping giant that was finally ready to wake up. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you cornered the most innovative, adaptable, and stubborn species it had ever encountered. 3 days had passed since Earth sent its response to the Federation Council. The galaxy was buzzing with activity as massive fleets moved through hyperspace toward the Sol system. On a dozen worlds, alien military commanders studied tactical displays showing what they believed would be an easy victory over the upstart humans. High Commander Zelthak stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Glory, watching the star charts update as his Grand Armada approached human space. The ancient Zeltharian had commanded fleets for over 300 years, and he had never seen a force as impressive as the one now under his control. 50,000 vessels of every size and type, from nimble fighters to massive siege ships capable of cracking planets. Commander, we will reach the outer edge of the human system in 18 hours, reported his tactical officer. Our scouts report their defensive positions are exactly as expected. Orbital platforms around their homeworld, patrol ships near the major planets, and a small fleet gathered near their moon base. Zelthak's 4 eyes gleamed with satisfaction. Exactly as our intelligence predicted, the humans have perhaps 2,000 ships in total. And their technology is primitive by our standards. This will be over quickly. Meanwhile, in another part of space, War Prime Corvin paced the command deck of his dreadnought, the Bloodfang. The massive Corvin warrior stood nearly 8 feet tall, his scaled hide marked with battle scars from a dozen conflicts. His death fleet was smaller than the Zeltharian force, but every ship was built for maximum destruction. War Prime, our psychic allies report that human communication traffic has increased dramatically, said his intelligence chief. They appear to be evacuating civilian populations from their outer colonies. Corvin's lipless mouth stretched into what might have been a smile. Good. Let them run. It will make our job easier. The humans will learn what happens when inferiors try to rise above their station. Far from both fleets, in the space between dimensions, the ethereal collective maintained their psychic coordination network. These beings of pure energy had evolved beyond physical form millions of years ago, and they viewed the younger species of the galaxy as children playing with dangerous toys. The lead ethereal, known only as the first voice, communicated through thought alone to its companions. The human mental patterns are interesting. Their thoughts move in ways we did not expect. There is something they are not revealing, even to themselves. Should we be concerned? Asked another voice in the collective mind. No, the first voice replied. Whatever they are hiding, it cannot be significant. Our allies have overwhelming numerical superiority, and our guidance will ensure perfect coordination. The humans will surrender when they see the futility of resistance. Back in the Sol system, Captain Ryan Blake stood on the bridge of the UES Harbinger, watching the final systems check scroll across his displays. The ship hung in space near Neptune's orbit, completely invisible to any scanning technology the aliens possessed. Its advanced cloaking systems didn't just hide it from sensors, they made it exist slightly outside normal space-time, as if it were a ghost made real. Captain, all departments report ready, announced Commander Alex Torres from the tactical station. Chief Collins says the quantum drives are running at peak efficiency, and Dr. Harper's weapon systems are showing green across the board. Ryan nodded, studying the long-range sensors that track the approaching enemy fleets. Any word from Admiral Morrison? Lieutenant Sam Carter looked up from the communications console. Latest orders are to maintain position and wait. Earth's conventional forces are moving into defensive positions as planned. The aliens think they're seeing our entire military capability. Chief Engineer Marie Collins emerged from the engineering section, her face showing the satisfaction of someone whose life's work was finally ready for its ultimate test. Captain, I've been working on starships for 20 years, and I still can't quite believe what we've built here. The Harbinger isn't just a ship. It's like a piece of physics that decided to take physical form. Ryan understood what she meant. The technology that powered the Harbinger had been developed in absolute secrecy, built on discoveries that humanity had made, but never shared with their alien allies. While the galaxy thought humans were still using chemical rockets and metal hulls, Earth's best scientists had unlocked the secrets of quantum manipulation and reality engineering. The ship's artificial intelligence, a creation so advanced that it bordered on being a new form of life, spoke in its calm, measured voice. Captain Blake, I am detecting gravitational disturbances consistent with large fleet movements. The enemy forces will arrive in the outer system within 12 hours. Thank you, Area, Ryan replied. The AI had been named after Dr. Harper's daughter, and its personality showed touches of both scientific curiosity and protective instinct. How many ships total? Current count shows 87,432 individual vessels. The Zeltharian Grand Armada accounts for approximately 58% of this force, while the Corvin Death Fleet represents 35%. The remaining 7% consists of ships from 14 minor species allied with the Ethereal Collective. Commander Torres whistled softly. Nearly 90,000 ships. That's probably the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. And they're all coming here to put us in our place, Marie added with a mix of anger and anticipation. Ryan activated the ship's internal communication system. All hands, this is the captain. In a few hours we're going to face the largest fleet the galaxy has ever seen. They're coming here because they think humanity needs to be controlled, that we're dangerous and unpredictable. They're right about one thing. We are dangerous, but not in the way they think. He paused, looking around at his crew of 300 hand-picked officers and specialists. For 50 years, humanity has been patient. We've learned their languages, studied their cultures, and pretended to be impressed by their technology, all while we were developing capabilities they can't even imagine. Today, that patience ends. The bridge fell silent except for the quiet hum of systems so advanced they seemed almost magical. The Harbinger's quantum cores contained enough power to reshape star systems, while its reality distortion fields could make the ship exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Arya, show me the tactical projection, Ryan ordered. The main display lit up with a three-dimensional map of the Sol system. Red markers showed the approaching alien fleets, while blue dots indicated Earth's visible defenses. Hidden green markers showed the positions of humanity's secret weapons, including 11 other vessels like the Harbinger in various stages of completion. The aliens will likely establish a siege perimeter around Earth, Alex observed. Standard Federation doctrine calls for overwhelming the defenders with superior numbers while minimizing their own casualties. They're in for a surprise, Marie said quietly. Our weapons don't just destroy ships and they unmake them, turn their matter back into base particles and energy. It's like they never existed in the first place. Ryan looked at the approaching red markers on the display. Somewhere in those fleets were thousands of alien beings who truly believed they were doing the right thing, protecting the galaxy from a dangerous young species. They had no idea they were about to witness technology that would fundamentally change their understanding of what was possible. Captain, incoming priority message from Earth Defense Command, Sam announced. Admiral Morrison's face appeared on the screen, his expression calm but determined. Captain Blake, the enemy fleets have been detected by our outer sensors. You are authorized to begin Phase 1 operations. Show them what humanity has been working on. Ryan felt a moment of profound responsibility. The next few hours would either establish humanity as the dominant force in the galaxy, or result in the complete destruction of his species. There was no middle ground. All stations prepare for combat operations, he announced. Area, begin decloak sequence and take us to intercept position. It's time to introduce the galaxy to the real human race. The Harbinger began to shimmer, back into normal space-time, its hull gleaming with energy patterns that defied conventional physics. The sleeping giant was finally waking up. The first alien scouts entered the Sol system expecting to find a desperate human defense fleet scrambling to protect their homeworld. What they found instead was something that would haunt their dreams for the rest of their lives. High Commander, Zelthak studied the initial reports with growing confusion. Where are their ships? Our scouts report only minimal patrols around the inner planets, and some defensive platforms near Earth. Where is their main fleet? His tactical officer checked the readings twice before responding. Sir, it appears the humans have concentrated most of their forces near their homeworld. Total count is approximately 1,500 vessels, mostly light cruisers and destroyers. No sign of any heavy battleships or siegecraft. Zelthak's confidence grew. This was going to be even easier than predicted. Maintain formation and proceed to the outer planets. We'll establish siege positions and give them one final chance to surrender before we demonstrate the futility of resistance. The massive Zeltharian fleet moved through space like a metal storm, their ships stretching across thousands of kilometers. Behind them, the Corvan Death Fleet approached from a different angle, while ships from a dozen minor species filled the gaps between the major formations. War Prime Corvan watched the tactical displays with predatory satisfaction. The humans are cowering near their homeworld like younglings hiding behind their parents. This will barely qualify as a battle. But something was wrong. The first voice of the ethereal collective sensed it first. A disturbance in the psychic fabric of space that felt like a massive presence stirring from sleep. There is something here, the first voice communicated to its allies. Something large and powerful that was not here before, probably just their fear affecting the mental atmosphere, Corvan dismissed. Prey animals always give off strong emotional signatures when cornered. At that moment, every sensor in the alien fleet registered the same impossible reading. A massive energy signature had appeared at the edge of the system, something so large and powerful that it defied their understanding of physics. The UES Harbinger decloaked like a mountain materializing out of thin air. The ship was enormous, nearly 5 kilometers long and bristling with energy patterns that seemed to bend light around them. Its hull appeared to be made of some material that shifted between solid matter and pure energy, while geometric patterns of impossible complexity pulsed along its surface. "What is that thing?" Zelthak whispered, his 4 eyes wide with shock. Captain Ryan Blake stood on the Harbinger's bridge, watching as 90,000 enemy ships suddenly found themselves face to face with technology they couldn't comprehend. "Open a channel to the alien fleet commanders," he ordered. The image of a calm human face appeared on communication screens throughout the enemy fleets. Many aliens had never seen a human before, and they were surprised by how ordinary this one looked. "This is Captain Ryan Blake of the United Earthship Harbinger," he said in a voice that carried no anger or hatred, only quiet determination. "You have entered human space with hostile intent and demanded our surrender. We decline your offer." High Commander Zelthak activated his own communication system. "Human Captain, you face the combined might of 3 galactic empires. Surrender, now and your species will be treated with mercy. Continue this foolishness and we will be forced to demonstrate why younger races bow before their betters." Ryan's expression didn't change. "Commander, you have 30 seconds to begin withdrawing your fleets from this system. This is your only warning." Laughter echoed across the alien communication channels. 90,000 ships against one, no matter how large or advanced that one ship might be. The mathematics were simple and brutal. "Human," War Prime Corvin's voice rumbled across the channels. "Your bravery is admirable but pointless. That single ship cannot stand against our combined fleets. Last chance, surrender or be destroyed." Ryan looked at his watch. 30 seconds have passed. "Area, please demonstrate our defensive capabilities." The Harbinger's AI responded instantly. "Initiating demonstration protocol, Captain." What happened next would be studied by military historians for centuries to come. A Corvin scouting formation of 200 ships was approaching the Harbinger from the port side, their plasma weapons charging for what they assumed would be an easy first strike. The Harbinger didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, geometric patterns along its hull began to glow with increasing intensity, and the space around the approaching Corvin ships began to shimmer like heat waves rising from hot pavement. Then the enemy ships simply stopped existing, not destroyed, not exploded, not reduced to debris. They were there one moment and gone the next, as if reality itself had decided they had never been built. The atoms that had made up 200 warships and 4,000 alien warriors were quietly redistributed as harmless cosmic dust. The alien fleets fell silent. Every sensor, every instrument, every psychic probe tried to understand what had just happened. The Corvin ships hadn't been hit by any recognizable weapon. They had simply been erased from existence. "Impossible," Zelthak breathed. "What kind of weapon can do that?" Dr. Lisa Harper's voice came through the communication channel, calm and matter-of-fact. "Commander, what you just witnessed was our most basic defensive system. The Harbinger's quantum manipulation arrays can restructure matter at the atomic level. Your ships weren't destroyed. They were simply reorganized into more peaceful configurations." War Prime Corvin's massive frame shuddered with rage and fear. "That's impossible. No known technology can manipulate matter at that level." "You're correct," Ryan replied. "No known technology, but humanity has been developing unknown technologies for the past 50 years. While you were content with incremental improvements to existing designs, we were learning to rewrite the fundamental laws of physics." The first voice of the ethereal collective tried to penetrate the Harbinger's defenses with psychic probes only to recoil in shock. The ship's mental shielding wasn't just advanced, it existed partially outside normal space-time, making it immune to conventional psychic manipulation. "This is not possible," the first voice transmitted to its allies. "These humans have developed technology that surpasses our understanding. They are manipulating quantum fields and dimensional boundaries as if they were simple tools." Commander Alex Torres spoke up from the Harbinger's tactical station. "Captain, I'm reading massive power buildups throughout the enemy fleet. They're charging weapons and preparing for a coordinated assault." Ryan nodded. "They still don't understand what they're facing. Area, prepare the primary demonstration." "Captain," Marie Collins called from the engineering station. "The quantum cores are at full power. Reality distortion fields are stable. We're ready for whatever you need." The alien fleets began their attack. 90,000 ships opened fire simultaneously, filling space with enough destructive energy to sterilize a dozen star systems. Plasma bolts, antimatter torpedoes, gravity bombs, and psychic force lances all converged on the lone human vessel. Every Weapon passed harmlessly through the Harbinger as if it were made of shadows and starlight. The ship existed in a state of controlled quantum superposition, simultaneously present and absent in normal space. Attacking it was like trying to hit a reflection in water. Now they understand, Ryan said quietly. Area, show them what real power looks like. The Harbinger's main weapon array activated for the first time in combat. Reality itself seemed to bend around the ship as quantum fields reached out toward the alien fleet like invisible hands. Space twisted, time fluctuated, and the fundamental forces that held matter together began to dance to humanity's will. High Commander Zelthak watched in horror as entire sections of his Grand Armada simply winked out of existence, not destroyed by explosions or torn apart by weapons, but carefully and methodically unmade by forces that operated beyond his comprehension. All ships, retreat, he screamed into his communicator. Fall back immediately. But it was too late. The sleeping giant was fully awake now, and the galaxy was about to learn what happened when humanity finally decided to stop pretending to be weak. The demonstration was just beginning. What followed was not a battle in any traditional sense. It was a systematic demonstration of technological superiority, so overwhelming that it redefined what the galaxy thought was possible. The UES Harbinger moved through space like a force of nature given form. Its reality manipulation systems reached out across thousands of kilometers, touching enemy ships with invisible hands that could rewrite the laws of physics on command. Entire formations of alien vessels simply ceased to exist, their matter peacefully redistributed into harmless cosmic particles. High Commander Zelthak stood frozen on his command bridge, watching 50,000 years of Zeltharian military tradition crumble before his eyes. His Grand Armada, the pride of an empire that had conquered half the galaxy, was being dismantled like a child's toy by a single human ship. Sir, we've lost contact with the 3rd and 7th battle groups, his communications officer reported, his voice barely controlled. The 8th Fleet is requesting immediate retreat authorization. Admiral Morthak's flagship just disappeared. How many ships have we lost? Zelthak asked, though part of him didn't want to know the answer. 15,000 confirmed destroyed, sir. But they're not being destroyed in any way we understand. They're just gone. No explosions, no debris, no energy signatures. It's like they never existed. War Prime Corvin was having similar problems with his Death Fleet. The massive Corvin warrior had built his reputation on brutal, overwhelming attacks that crushed enemies through sheer firepower. But his weapons couldn't even touch the human vessel, and his ships were disappearing faster than he could count them. How is this possible? He roared at his science officer. Our intelligence report said humans were using primitive chemical propulsion and metal projectile weapons. War Prime, our sensors indicate the human ship is manipulating quantum fields in ways we didn't know were possible. It appears to exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. Our weapons are hitting empty space while the real ship operates from a parallel quantum layer. The first voice of the ethereal collective was experiencing something it hadn't felt in millions of years. Genuine fear. The psychic entity reached out with all its power, trying to understand the human technology, only to encounter defenses that seemed to exist outside the normal flow of time and space. This cannot be, it transmitted to its remaining allies. They are using technology that manipulates the fundamental structure of reality itself. How did a species barely 50 years out of their home system develop such capabilities? Captain Ryan Blake watched the tactical display as the enemy fleet numbers continued to drop. There was no satisfaction in what they were doing, only the grim necessity of making a point that the galaxy would never forget. Captain, we've eliminated approximately 40% of the enemy fleet, Commander Alex Torres reported. Remaining forces are attempting to retreat, but their formations are in complete chaos. Any attempts at communication? Ryan asked. Lieutenant Sam Carter nodded. Multiple surrender offers from individual ship commanders, but the fleet leaders are still trying to coordinate some kind of counterattack. The ethereal collective is attempting to use psychic coordination to rally their forces. Ryan turned to Dr. Harper's image on the communication screen. She was monitoring the battle from Earth Defense Command, her face showing the complex emotions of watching her theoretical weapons perform beyond even her most optimistic projections. "Doctor, how are the weapon systems performing?" "Better than we ever imagined, Captain. The quantum manipulation arrays are operating at 115% efficiency. We're actually using less power than projected because reality itself seems eager to cooperate with our requests. It's as if the universe recognizes our technology as a natural evolution of physical law." Chief Engineer Marie Collins looked up from her control station. "Captain, Area is requesting permission to demonstrate the Harbinger's planetary scale capabilities. Apparently there's a Corvin military installation on one of Jupiter's moons that's been launching attack drones." Ryan considered this carefully. So far, they had only targeted military vessels in space. Demonstrating that they could affect planets would send an entirely different message to the galaxy. "Arya, what exactly are you proposing?" The ship's AI responded in its calm, measured voice. "Captain, the Corvin facility on Io has been continuously launching unmanned attack drones despite the clear superiority of our position. I suggest temporarily reversing the gravitational field around the installation. This will disable their launch capabilities without causing permanent harm to any personnel." "Temporarily reverse gravity?" Ryan asked. "For how large an area?" "Approximately 50 square kilometers around the military base. Duration would be 30 seconds. Sufficient to demonstrate capability while allowing evacuation of personnel to safety bunkers." Ryan looked around at his bridge crew. This was a line they hadn't crossed yet, using their reality manipulation technology on a planetary scale. But the demonstration might save lives by convincing the remaining enemy forces to surrender. "Do it," he decided. The Harbinger's sensors focused on the small Corvin military base on Io's surface. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then every piece of loose equipment, every vehicle, and every piece of debris on the base's surface began floating gently upward as if the moon had suddenly decided that up was down. The effect lasted exactly 30 seconds. When normal gravity returned, everything settled back to the surface undamaged. But the message was clear. The humans could rewrite physics on a planetary scale. War Prime Corvin watched in stunned silence as reports came in from the Io base. "They can control gravity itself," he whispered. "What kind of beings have we awakened?" High Commander Zelthak was reaching the same conclusion. His ancient mind, trained by centuries of military experience, finally accepted what his sensors were telling him. The humans weren't just technologically superior, they were operating on an entirely different level of scientific understanding. "Open a priority channel to the human ship," he ordered. Ryan's image appeared on the Zeltharian command screen. The human captain looked tired but determined, like someone carrying a heavy burden but committed to seeing it through. "Commander Zelthak," Ryan said, recognizing the alien leader. "Are you ready to discuss terms?" "Human captain," Zelthak began, his voice carrying the weight of a crumbling empire. "In 300 years of commanding fleets, I have never encountered technology like yours. My tactical computers cannot even classify your weapon systems. How long have your people possessed such capabilities?" "We've been developing these technologies since the day we joined the Galactic Federation," Ryan replied honestly. "Every treaty, every trade agreement, every cultural exchange taught us more about galactic civilization. While you assumed we were struggling to understand your science, we were already moving beyond it." The first voice of the ethereal collective finally spoke directly to the human captain, its psychic voice carrying across space. "Human leader, your species has achieved something we thought impossible. You have learned to manipulate the quantum foundation of reality itself. Such power in the hands of a young species is concerning." Ryan's expression hardened slightly. "With respect, first voice, our species became concerning the moment you decided we needed to be controlled. We've been peaceful members of the Federation for 50 years. We've shared our culture, our art, our knowledge. We've never started a war or threatened another species. But when you decided that our growth and innovation made us dangerous, you forced us to reveal exactly how dangerous we really are." Dr. Harper's voice came through the communication channel again. "The choice is simple. You can continue this futile attack and watch your fleets disappear ship by ship, or you can accept that humanity is no longer the junior partner in galactic civilization. War Prime Corvin looked at his tactical display. In less than 6 hours, the largest military force in galactic history had been reduced to scattered, demoralized remnants, and the human ship showed no signs of strain or damage. It was operating as effortlessly as if it were on a training exercise. "What are your terms?" he asked, the words bitter in his mouth. Ryan Blake looked out at the stars, thinking of Earth spinning peacefully in space, protected now by technology that made it essentially invulnerable to any conceivable threat. "Unconditional surrender," he said simply. "And then we'll discuss what the new galaxy is going to look like." 6 months after the day that would forever be known as the Awakening, the galaxy was a very different place. The massive conference chamber on Neutral Station Harmony 7 hosted representatives from every major civilization, but the dynamics of power had shifted completely. Admiral Jake Morrison sat at the head of the curved table, wearing the simple blue uniform of the United Earth Defense Force. Around him sat the former leaders of galactic civilization: High Commander Zelthak, War Prime Corvin, the first voice of the ethereal collective, and dozens of ambassadors from smaller species. They all looked at the human admiral with a mixture of respect, fear, and curiosity. "The new Federation Charter has been reviewed by all parties," Ambassador Paul Grant announced, his voice carrying the authority of someone representing the galaxy's new dominant power. "Are there any final questions before we proceed with the signing?" Ambassador Veltar of the Centauri Republic raised a tentacle nervously. "Admiral Morrison, the protection protocols you've outlined are generous, but many of our species are concerned about the extent of human technological advantage. How can we be certain that humanity won't abuse its position?" Jake looked around the table at faces that belonged to beings who, just months ago, had been preparing to subjugate his species. "Ambassador Veltar, I understand your concerns, but consider this. We've had the power to destroy or conquer any of your civilizations for the past 6 months. Instead, we've offered partnership, shared selected technologies, and established protection protocols that benefit everyone." Dr. Lisa Harper, now head of the new Galactic Technological Advancement Council, activated a holographic display showing the remarkable progress achieved in recent months. "Since the formation of the new Federation, we've eliminated 3 ongoing interstellar conflicts, established trade routes that have increased commerce by 400%, and begun sharing medical technologies that have already saved millions of lives." High Commander Zelthak spoke for the first time during the meeting. The ancient Zeltharian looked older than his considerable years, but there was something like relief in his 4 eyes. "Admiral Morrison, my empire spent centuries maintaining order through military strength. We lost countless lives in border wars, resource conflicts, and territorial disputes. In 6 months under human leadership, the galaxy has seen more peace and prosperity than we achieved in 500 years. War Prime Corvin nodded agreement, his massive frame no longer radiating the aggressive energy that had once defined him. The Corvin hegemony built its reputation on conquest and domination, but your people have shown us something we never expected to see: true strength used for protection rather than oppression. The first voice of the ethereal collective communicated, through its translator device, its thoughts carrying undertones of wonder. "We have existed for millions of years, believing that our evolutionary advancement made us natural leaders of younger species. But humanity has achieved in decades what we could not accomplish in millennia. You have learned to manipulate reality not through gradual evolution, but through the application of pure scientific curiosity and innovation." Captain Ryan Blake entered the chamber, still wearing the uniform of the UES Harbinger. The ship itself was now permanently stationed in the Sol system, serving as both a symbol of human power and a deterrent to anyone who might consider returning to the old ways of galactic politics. "Captain Blake," Jake acknowledged, "how are the patrol operations progressing?" "All quiet, Admiral. The Harbinger completed its tour of the outer systems yesterday. No signs of piracy, territorial disputes, or military buildups. The new early warning network is functioning perfectly." Ryan took his seat, noting how the alien representative still looked at him with a mixture of awe and residual fear. Ambassador Grant pulled up another holographic display showing the current state of galactic civilization. The integration process is proceeding ahead of schedule. 47 species have requested inclusion in the new Federation, and our cultural exchange programs are already showing remarkable results. Chief Engineer Marie Collins, now Director of the Advanced Shipbuilding Initiative, smiled as she reported on the most dramatic change in galactic society. We've begun sharing basic versions of our propulsion and energy technologies with allied species. The Zeltharian Empire has already retrofitted a third of their fleet with quantum drive systems, and the Corvin engineers are making impressive progress with reality-stable hull designs. Dr. Harper added, "Of course, we're being careful about which technologies we share and how quickly. The quantum manipulation systems and reality engineering capabilities remain exclusively human for now. But we're gradually introducing concepts that will allow our allies to eventually develop their own versions." War Prime Corvin leaned forward. "Dr. Harper, my science teams are still trying to understand the basic principles behind your quantum field generators. How did humanity develop such advanced concepts so quickly?" Lisa smiled, remembering the long nights of theoretical work that had led to their breakthrough discoveries. War Prime, I think the key was that we didn't start with preconceived notions about what was impossible. When we encountered galactic civilization, we studied your technologies not to copy them, but to understand the principles behind them. Then we asked ourselves, what if we approach these problems from completely different angles? Your people think differently than we do, the first voice observed. Where we saw established scientific laws, you saw suggestions to be improved upon. Where we accepted limitations, you found ways to transcend them. Admiral Morrison stood up, looking out through the massive windows at the starfield beyond. The truth is, we were afraid. For 50 years, we watched galactic politics and saw how civilizations rose and fell based on military power and technological stagnation. We realized that if we were going to survive in this galaxy, we couldn't just match your capabilities. We had to exceed them so completely that conflict would become impossible. Ambassador Veltar's tentacles writhed thoughtfully. So the technologies you revealed during the awakening, the reality manipulation, the quantum engineering, the dimensional shifting, all of that was developed in secret while you pretended to be a minor species struggling with basic space travel? That's correct, Ryan confirmed. The Harbinger you saw was actually our first fully operational vessel, but we had been testing the individual technologies for decades. We built our entire strategy around making sure that when we finally revealed our true capabilities, the demonstration would be so overwhelming that further conflict would be unthinkable. High Commander Zelthak shook his ancient head in amazement. 50 years of deception. 50 years of appearing weak while secretly becoming the most powerful force in galactic history. The level of patience and planning required for such a strategy is remarkable. Jake returned to his seat. Commander, we prefer to think of it as preparation rather than deception. We never lied about our intentions or our character. We simply didn't advertise our growing capabilities until we were forced to defend ourselves. Doctor, Harper brought up a final display showing the locations of humanity's expanding colonies and research stations. The new Federation isn't about human dominance. It's about creating a stable foundation for galactic civilization. We're establishing research partnerships, cultural exchange programs, and mutual defense agreements that benefit everyone. And if someone decides to challenge this new order, War Prime Corvin asked, though his tone suggested genuine curiosity. Rather than any hostile intent, Captain Blake answered quietly. The Harbinger has 11 sister ships now with more under construction. But more importantly, we've demonstrated that human technology can protect or threaten any target in the galaxy. We prefer protection, but we're prepared for either option. Ambassador. Grant stood up with the new Federation Charter in his hands. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all descriptions, we stand at a historical moment. For the first time in galactic history, we have the opportunity to build a civilization based on cooperation, rather than competition, on shared knowledge rather than hoarded secrets, on protection rather than conquest. One by one, the representatives signed the document that would reshape galactic civilization. As the last signature was added, Jake looked around the table at these former enemies who were becoming partners in building something unprecedented. "The galaxy is vast," he said. "There are millions of worlds we haven't explored, technologies we haven't discovered, and challenges we haven't even imagined yet. But for the first time since any of our species reached for the stars, we're going to face those challenges together." Outside the conference chamber, the UES Harbinger hung in space like a guardian angel made of metal and energy. Its quantum sensors monitored the entire star system, ready to protect the peace that had been purchased with the demonstration of overwhelming power. The sleeping giant was awake now, and the galaxy was learning to sleep peacefully under its protection. Far in the distance, automated construction ships worked on building the next generation of human vessels, ships that would make even the Harbinger look primitive. Humanity had learned an important lesson from their first contact. With galactic civilization, in a universe full of potential,